people, you are live and direct on Petty Sportz, the podcast brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, the host, Mr. Famous Fees. They call me Facts. Y'all know what time it is. I'm right here live with my man Adam. Holla at him.
What's going on, everybody? This track got me bumping tonight. Putting a link out for everyone.
Yeah.
Y'all better call into the show this evening. We have a packed evening for you guys. You know, it's the hottest sports podcast in the city. Petty Sportz, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Guys, if you've seen social media, got a brand new link out. It's everything in one click. So now you officially have no excuse but to get with the show. Fees, tell the people what we got tonight, man.
Man, we always got an action-packed lineup. You already know we're going to talk about these NBA Finals because they're on and popping. Game 4 coming up tonight, right at the middle of the show. So stay tuned for that. We're going to talk a little UFC 264. We got some tennis update. Wimbledon just ended and concluded. So y'all know we got to drop a little line on that. NFL, always on and popping. AFC North predictions, expectations versus reality. Y'all already know we got a whole bunch of people who get in their feelings about these predictions every single week. So, man, like I always tell you, get your popcorn ready, get you a good smoke, get you a nice, cool cup of Jameson. Mine is neat, but you know, some of y'all like ice. It's all good. Strap in, let's go, man. Off the top, that's what we always do. We always get you with a headline. Ain't none other more hot than today. Richard Sherman, former
Crazy,
cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. Very unfortunate situation. Had to do quite a bit of digging into this thing to really see what actually happened as opposed to the information that we were given. Say this man has been charged with burglary, domestic violence, and a hit and run. Something like that. That's a lot. I mean, initially what comes to mind, you hear burglary, domestic violence, you're like, okay. He hit his wife, girlfriend, whichever the case may be, and he stole something. So then I looked deeper into it. I was like, well, damn, he got a hit and run too. What it looks like from all the reports, I mean, I've been digging. I just found more information probably 5 minutes ago. Say he hit a median on the exit and left the car. So that was the hit and run. I don't really think that's actually a hit and run because he didn't hit anybody.
Right.
But he did hit something, and he left the car. Like the SUV that he was driving, left it there. They ran the plates, and they found out it was registered to Sherman, so it was absolutely his whip. And then somehow he went from there to his mother-in-law's house, which it took quite a bit of digging to figure out where they were like family. It was his wife's parents' house in Redmond, Washington. That's where he went. He left there, went to their house, and then tried to enter the house. This was around about 1:30 a.m., so it was late, extra late. He's trying to force his way in the door. The police got there. They sent the K-9 on him, so he actually does have some minor wounds from the dog biting him.
Lacerations on his leg. That's how they try to get to him.
So the domestic charge comes from the relation that he has to domestic violence. You're like, okay. House. It's like because it was his wife's parents' house, that's why they deemed it domestic. He didn't touch anybody. He didn't actually come into contact with anybody. His wife came out and made a statement, say the kids are okay. He's a good person. We're just trying to get him out. But the domestic just carries a connotation. It's like you automatically, I thought the same thing. When I heard it, I'm like, damn, he'd beat his wife up? Like, oh, right. Man. Like, this does not sound like something Richard Sherman would do.
Yeah. But and we know he's not that guy either.
Yeah, but like he didn't actually hit anyone. They gave him the burglary. Well, they said suspicion of burglary because of the damage to the front door, which he never actually got into. So, I mean, they are talking about possible DUI with the hit and run, which that makes sense. Like, why did you leave the car?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I assume that off top anyway.
So I'm assuming he was drinking then, I guess.
They said they smelled an odor, and they're still working on getting the results to of the blood test. So,
cops and their odors, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll get more information as it pertains to that part. I just feel like the way that they broke the story.
Yeah.
It made it seem like something a lot different from what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly agree with you. I mean, this was like when people were talking about Shefty, breaking the Aaron Rodgers news on draft night, and everyone was tripping out about it and this and that. And no, this is the time that he wanted to leak it. And, it makes you wonder. And again, this is why we have guys like you and I and shows around the world to bring more clarity and more transparency to stuff like this, because like you said, the average outsider could have said, oh wow, here we go, another NFL player like they always are showing their ass. But no, in reality, it's just a termination. But once you dig into it, it's not that bad, because we know Richard Sherman isn't that type of player. So I'm right there with you, man.
I mean, it's like, it's clear that he did something.
Right.
But for it to be burglary, domestic violence, I'm like, damn, did he lose all his money?
Right.
Like, now he's fighting his wife? Like, man, what's happening? Like, that's, like, nowhere near what actually went down. We don't know what actually happened, but...
Right. He's still being held, too. They denied his bail, I heard.
Well, yeah, that domestic charge automatically denies bail.
Yeah. Can't let you back out.
I mean, they slapped him with one they knew he wasn't going to be able to get out with. Doesn't matter how much money you get.
Right.
I mean, it's a shame. It's just, I just caution folks to pass the super quick, immediate judgment on them, just for the mere fact that we don't know very much. And from the little bit of information that we do have, it doesn't seem that, like, especially the domestic violence, like, they got the NFL investigating this.
Right.
Don't place this man on Ray Rice status.
Exactly. Like, his wife's already put out a statement like, look, I'm fine. Kids are fine. No one's injured. This isn't Richard's character. Like you said, it's just another headline breaking, and guys like us are here to bring transparency to it. So we know Richard's a good guy. And speaking of something more serious about him, when the hell is he going to get signed? I mean, he's still hanging out there. You got rumors of, being reunited with the Seahawks. Maybe New Orleans will make a push. I mean, a lot of teams in the league would like it. Maybe the Dolphins to pair with X Howard. I mean, we don't know. The Ravens. So many teams could pick him up. But I don't know what the deal is with Richard.
Well, I mean, hey, you got charges? Cowboys.
Right.
Dallas assigned anybody with a record.
Terrible.
That's their MO. He's either going to Dallas, Cincinnati, or Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Those are the three teams that get everybody that has a rap sheet. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that he deserves this rap sheet.
Right.
A lot of that doesn't sound like it should be what it's listed as. But just for the sake of the conversation, those three teams are the ones that'll look for you when something happens.
Yeah, unfortunately. No
They
lies
just trying
about
to catch
that.
a headline or something.
No lies about that.
Yeah, I mean, we can name countless players for all three of those teams that have all types of things going on. But that's a whole story for another day.
Jamila, what's up? See you on YouTube. How are you? Cosmic Jerry, see you in the chat as well. Guys, hop in the chat with us. Give us your take. Call into the show. You can call whenever. If we're quiet, if we're ranting, if we're whatever's happening on the show, man. Call in. Give us your take about anything. Doesn't even have to be what we're talking about. Want to have you in the show tonight.
Oh, yeah, she's ready. It's going to be on and popping.
Yeah.
We're talking about her team and her division tonight.
Oh, yeah. I thought about her when I drew up the record for the segment we're going to have at the end. AFC North, I was like, man, Jamala's going to be mad because it's not looking good for your Steelers. Last year was a facade for sure. But we'll see at the end. Don't want to spoil it just yet. We got a lot on the slate tonight.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. So, man, we're going to jump right into it because we got the NBA Finals cranking up in less than an hour. Coming
Tipping
up,
at the top of the second hour.
Oh, yeah. It's about to be off the chain. So, I mean, we're looking at it right now. Phoenix leads the series 2-1. Game 4 in Milwaukee, 9 o'clock Eastern time. What adjustments need to happen for the Milwaukee Bucks if they want to have a chance to actually turn this series around and even it up tonight?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So, I mean, first thing we take a look at is Giannis is doing what he's got to do. I mean, 34 points a game in these finals in his first 3 games, back-to-back 40-point double-doubles. I think he's the third player ever to do that. So, definitely a rare feat. And you love to see it because the Greek Freak is just adding on to his resume. Multiple MVP, defensive player of the year, been a good defensive player. And when you think about this kid that came into the league at 18 and was really a shrimp, had no weight on him. Like, I was just looking at pictures of Giannis when he was 18, came into the league, as they really took a chance on him, taking him in Milwaukee and seeing him now having this team up there, knowing he was hurt and the team really went out there and played well for him. But let's get back to rather what would need to happen for adjustments. I think you take a look at Chris Middleton. He's averaged 27 points a game after game 2 in every series this playoffs. And you saw game 3 wasn't a huge game for him, but Giannis came out again. You got to look at Drew Holiday also because people were saying, look, no excuses. Bucks are here. This is why we brought in Drew Holiday. And he still feels like he's not that true player that Milwaukee actually needs to make that jump. And, like we were talking about, okay, Chris Middleton doesn't necessarily have to always play because Giannis is there, but that has been the reason time and time again is when they've been into the playoffs and they're not getting over the hump. So everybody has to come together and truly play as a team I mean, they have to because Giannis can't be out here dropping 40 points and 15, 20 rebounds and still losing these games by potentially 15, 16, 17 points.
Richard,
that's exhausting.
We got a lot on
That's going to break you down. That's going to make it to where you can't truly stay focused on achieving that title. And it's going to make you kind of resent your teammates. They got to slow down Phoenix as well. They have to slow down Phoenix. Devin Booker, is obviously running on the show right now. But Chris Paul, oddly enough, it feels like as these playoffs go on, he just gets more and more lethal. He's learning to draw the fouls, and he's really being extremely efficient and careful with the basketball. So slow him down for Phoenix. That's what Milwaukee has to do, and obviously everybody has to rally around Giannis. Giannis was coming off of, he potentially said, look, I thought I was going to be out for a year. This guy is dropping 34 points a game, 20, and then 2 back-to-back 40 games. So here we go with the Bucks, man. I think they even it up tonight. They're in Milwaukee, 8-1 in these playoffs. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a series. Huge game tonight because we'll see what happens.
Definitely a huge game, but there's a lot that has to go into them actually slowing them down. I mean, for one, they actually need to continue to have the good fortune of the referees.
Always got to have good calls.
Having Aiden fouling, he had 5 fouls last game, and it showed big, especially for the offensive production for Phoenix. That was a major portion of the game. I know we really gave a lot of praise to Chris Paul, and a lot of people are looking like, hey, he drugged this team in.
Yeah.
Chris Paul's production has been tailoring off for the past 4 games. We go back to Game 7 in the Clippers series. He dropped 41 on them. Then he came out in Game 1. He dropped 32. Mm-hmm. Then in Game 2, he had 23. And in Game 3, he had 19. Every game, he's gotten a little worse on his offensive production, and we're blaming it all on Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker will have a big game tonight because, contrary to popular belief, the man only had 1 bad game.
Right.
They act
realistically.
Like, he's disappearing. He had 27 in the first game and 31 in the second game.
Right.
Game 3 was bad. He only had 10 points. But he disappeared for 1 game, and Chris Paul didn't show up for that game either. He only had 19. Between the 2 of them, 29 points. I don't care how you, unless you're saying one of them had 28 and the other had 1, both of them didn't show up.
Right.
Game 3 just wasn't a good game for Phoenix, period.
Correct.
But I think Devin Booker has a big game. Chris Paul will do what he does. He's not going to drop another 40, but he doesn't need to.
Right.
If Chris Paul has his consistent 20 points, like what he usually gets, has lots of assists, if Devin Booker has a good game and DeAndre Ayton has a good game, then there's no reason why Phoenix shouldn't win this game. The Milwaukee Bucks have a very similar issue to what the Atlanta Hawks had, which what we talked about just a week ago. You got Giannis, like Trey. We're not comparing Trey to Giannis, but I'm saying the leader of the team,
right,
that's actually coming out and putting up numbers night in and night out. He does not have a consistent number 2 option to help. And Chris Middleton is not showing up.
Right.
Everyone is talking about Chris Middleton is the key. What has he done exactly? He had 29 points in the first game because Giannis was hindered and he only dropped 20.
Right.
But these 2 40-point games from Giannis, we got 29 more points collectively in games 2 and 3 from Chris Middleton.
Yep.
He's not showing up. When Giannis balls out, Chris Middleton doesn't do anything.
Precisely. It's very unfortunate for this Bucks team because when he balls and Giannis doesn't, it's like, okay, where is this? Where is this? We have needed this from you for 3-4 seasons now. And
they can't coexist.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, the Bucks could ship him out because the Bucks really wanted Bogdanovich before Atlanta picked him up. They really were looking to get him. You could see it now where I feel like Middleton is a player where someone would take a chance on him, so the Bucks could use that as collateral to make a run. But when you look at, when Middleton does actually decide to perform, when he scores 15 or more, the Bucks win 75% of the time. That's the crazy part when you look into the numbers. But the reason the Bucks were able to win Game 3, they controlled the tempo. Like I said, they slowed him down. And if you can get Giannis to establish position down low, obviously Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton is long. This team is just as potent on offense as Phoenix. This is a hell of a series coming up. Absolutely. We're in for a treat with these NBA Finals.
Oh, we are, but I definitely see Phoenix actually pulling out this game, and that's pretty much going to be a wrap when they go up 3-1.
Yeah.
They're going to win tonight. Everybody's really been all over Devin Booker.
Haven't lost back-to-back road postseason games either.
Every Game 4, Devin Booker has played bad in Game 3 every series. In Game 4, he's come back with a monster performance. I don't think it'll be any different tonight, especially with all the heat that he's taken.
Yeah.
And everybody's giving all the credit to Chris Paul, which he has played well, but he does not deserve all of the credit. Aiden has had a couple of monster games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Booker has been balling out of control. This has been a very collective team effort.
Absolutely.
Monty Williams has been coaching. he deserves all of this credit. Like, they're acting like it's all Chris Paul, and it is not. Like, this is going to be the Devin Booker game of this series.
Yeah.
And he's already had a 31-point game.
This is where D-Book needs to really just drop like a solid 40-plus just to really give that lead. Like, have a great first half to put Phoenix up by about 12, 13, and just really give them a comfortable lead. So, I mean, they don't have to look back. Going up 3-1, it's in your hands at that point. Absolutely in your hands.
Yeah, man, just like I told you, Phoenix in 5.
Yeah. Yep.
It has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, Phoenix in 5. Suns in 4, baby. Whatever it is, Hey, that guy's blowing up for real. He's on Cameo. He's hosting parties. He's got like action figures. Yeah, Nick McCullough, I think. Yeah, so his name is Nick either way. But yeah, he's doing huge things, bro. We need to go to a game and have something happen like that, man. It'd change your life for real. I mean, think about it. He's going to be that fan potentially like for the Suns. Like if they win a ring, he's at the parade. When they win the ring, he's at the parade in Phoenix. No question.
I mean, Book already hooked him up with tickets. Like, man, he might just bring him on out. Like, he'll be courtside.
Tickets, jersey. Like,
he'll be there for the confetti, for the parade.
Yeah.
His social media is going to blow up. It probably already has.
Yeah. I think he's already like 200,000 on Instagram. That's a pretty short time. I mean, considering the scale of like that platform, yeah, he's doing his thing, man.
Oh, absolutely. So we're going to stick with the Phoenix Suns and Chris Paul.
Yeah, your favorite player. This is Fee's best friend, y'all. Y'all know that, right? Fees loves talking about Chris Paul. I love talking about Chris Paul with Fees.
Yeah, I mean, about is the operative word.
Now, whether it's good or bad, we'll see.
It's not. Does a championship propel Chris Paul to both first ballot Hall of Fame status and top 5 all-time point guard?
I think first ballot Hall of Fame status, yes, because, I mean, let's take a look at Chris Paul's career. Every team that he has went to, he's increased their winning percentage by an average of 25%. He's a great mentor for young players. He's one of the best mid-range shooters we've ever seen. Extremely careful with the basketball. Do you know at one point in these playoffs, Chris Paul had 41 assists and 3 turnovers? That's almost unheard of. The fact that his turnover or assist to turnover ratio was 13, 14. Yeah, that's pretty killer for a guy that's 36 years old. That's a lot of credit to be given to him for how efficient the Suns have been able to play. But let's just keep it with his entire career. We've seen him get to this point time and again. Well, not this point because now he is at a further point in his career, but we've seen the Western Conference Finals with the Rockets, and we've seen the loaded Clippers teams where people were starting to question Chris Paul. And he even told you himself in an interview, hey, man, people were trying to write me off. Like, Chris Paul making the money he has this year, that's why I asked you before we got on the air, like, the contract is awful. Chris Paul shouldn't be here. And that just adds to the story more and more and more. And when Phoenix does win the ring this year, the man's 5th in all-time assists. He's 5th in all-time steals. And now he's going to have a ring. And we know what Chris Paul has brought to the table. I mean, in New Orleans, we saw the type of player that he was. And people talked about him time and time and time again. And, his career really took a hit, I feel like, with the Clippers. As much as I feel like he was potentially his true CP3 days with the Clippers, and I think Blake and, some of the Lob City really helped out with that, and he didn't capitalize in that point. Did anybody really think that Chris Paul was going to go somewhere with the Suns for a championship run? I know I didn't. Like, people were trying to tell me, man, I probably wasn't on the Suns realistically until they swept Denver, and I was like, wow, not a game without Jamal Murray. And I'm not saying that's all for Chris Paul, but him being there has put this team. That's the reason that they are where they at. They are where they're at today. And of course, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. But top 5 might be a little tight for me, but I say he's no worse than top 7. Definitely top 7 point guard. So that's why I stand with it.
I hear you on that. I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer, yeah, he's definitely going to do that. I mean, you already rattled off his stats, his accolades. I mean, he doesn't have the MVPs, but that's one of the only things that he doesn't have on his resume. I mean, he might be on Russell Wilson's status where he hasn't even gotten any votes. I think he has, but he's somewhere close to Russell Wilson's status on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'll absolutely be a first ballot Hall of Famer. As far as top 5 point guard all time, absolutely not. I'll give him 10, not 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, without the MVPs, with only this one, I mean, and I can't say only the one championship because there's a lot of guys who don't have any, period.
Right.
But outside of that, like that, I'd still have to really take into consideration the fact that he got to the finals this year via injury after injury after injury.
Here we go.
Every single team he played on the way to the finals had an injured superstar.
Yeah, they did.
And I mean, they talk about like, yeah, he had the strained ligament in his shooting wrist, and Booker got his nose fractured, broken, whatever happened to it.
Patrick Beverly tried to take him out, didn't he?
Patrick Beverly is ridiculous.
Like when I saw that injury, I was like, wow, that kind of looked a little extra. Like he kind of leaned it a little too much. Like, maybe a little intentional. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Pat Bev, he needs to be tamed. He tried to come for Chris Paul. I mean, Russell Westbrook hates him because he's the reason why he had an ACL. I mean, Pat Bev does some very questionable stuff. I mean,
he does.
He plays dog basketball, and then he crosses that line to do stuff that's like, bruh, this is just beyond the scope of this is just dumb. Like, cut it out, man. It's not cool.
Right.
So I can't vouch for Pat Bev on the slightest bit. But as far as Chris Paul is concerned, I'm not a fan at all. We talk about his turnover to assist ratio. He had 6 turnovers last game, so we just breeze over that because they lost, and we blame it on Devin Booker. like Chris Paul wasn't throwing the ball away. It's like, if we're going to highlight it, we got to also hold him accountable. He's got to be held to the fire.
Yep.
He didn't do very much in Game 3 either. It was a collective team bad game, and he's got to take that L right along with everybody else. So, man, I know he's going to get all the credit for this, even though Devin Booker is having a monster series. But at the end of the day, still not cracking my top 5. Can't do it.
Not a chance.
No.
It's okay.
Assuming they win, which we both feel like they're going to win.
Yes.
What kind of contract should the Suns offer CP3 moving into the next season?
So when you take a look at his contract currently, for people that don't know, $41.3 million this year and $44.2 million next year. That's going to make him the 5th highest paid guard in the NBA. But when you talk about what kind of contract you would want to rework for him, I would say probably in about the $25 million area. If they want to be nice, I don't know, maybe they do 27. If Chris Paul isn't pressing it, who knows? Maybe he'd go for an $18 to $22 million, a year deal. You don't know what they're truly going to offer him, but I would take a very good guess. It would be somewhere in that range. When you look, that's in the range of a, Kyle Lowry, Jamal Murray, which, at the core, Chris Paul is a better player than the both of them, but he's older. He's not as athletic. They can obviously go for a 30, 40, 50-point game more. Well, probably not Kyle Lowry, but Jamal Murray, when we're speaking in terms of that. But I would say definitely about a $25 million contract for Chris Paul. And I think it'll even be more friendly than that because Chris is like, hey, man, look, like I was saying it the other day, I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Paul retired after this year. Honestly, I know there's no talks about it, but think about it. He's 36. He'll have won the title. I mean, a lot of people thought his legacy was already there. This is just kind of like, boom, on top for him. So I hope he doesn't. I think he's still got maybe another year or two, but I wouldn't be shocked if he stepped away after this year.
That's an interesting thought about him retiring. So, I mean, just like as you said, his legacy was already there.
Right.
If you had asked me a month ago where he falls as far as first ballot and top 5, I'd have given you the exact same thing. I don't really think this changes it because he's not moving over anyone that's in the top 5 by winning this championship, and he already had put together a first ballot Hall of Fame career.
Right. Like he's not better than Steph. He's not better than Magic. He's not better than Oscar Robertson. The one title isn't going to immensely, it's not like he's got 3 and he's looking for 4,
It's not moving the needle at all.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely something to validate him, but it's not taking him over anyone or dropping him back any spaces.
Right.
Oh, look at that.
Perfect cutoff.
8:24 p.m. Y'all know what that means.
That time.
We are paying homage to the late, great Kobe Bean Bryant. Count this thing down for us one time.
Baby. 3, 2, 1.
Kobe.
R.I.P. to the great. Miss Kobe every day, man. Every single day. And as we're down here chopping it up about the basketball, I guarantee you that Kobe would put Chris Paul in his top 7. Kobe would probably put him top 5, but I'd say top 7. So that's a whole other conversation for another day.
Man. I just saw a clip of Kobe pop up the other day just with the Mamba mentality. He was on the free throw line. Well, he wasn't on the line. He was actually lined up to get a rebound from the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
Had James Harden to one side of him, Shane Battier to the other.
Oh, Shane Battier. Wow.
He took a step back, put his arm around each one of them, pushed them into each other, and then pushed Battier into Harden and washed them both out of bounds. Like, Jesus.
Wow. That is savagery.
It was so greasy how he did it.
Shane Battier.
I'm sure Fees would be happy if he retired. He would actually, but I would rather LeBron leave the Lakers. That's my first on my wish list. Get him out of LA.
What up, everybody in the chat?
Paul
Sorry, I've been away for a second. Jamila Steeler Nation. Hold on now. Hold on. In my Joe from Family Guy voice, let's do this. Andre, what's up? Phoenix and 5. Highly agree. Cher, how are you? Can't wait to meet you eventually when I come over there for some boxing in the Triple F Lounge. Got to get you to hook me up with one of those, man. Got to get your buddy to fix you something. The Sports Scoop. Man, those guys grind. Oh, yeah. If y'all are in the chat or just on the page in general on YouTube, go check out The Sports Scoop, man. Those kids are going crazy. I swear they came into the game and had like 1,000 subs on YouTube immediately. Posting stuff every day. Bunch of NFL stuff. Go check them out. Appreciate y'all hopping into the chat though. Man, we got a lot of comments tonight. Now we just need a caller. You know, someone told me last week, they're like, I couldn't hear her on the phone. I was like, I know, it's because no one ever calls a damn show. It's y'all's fault the phone is dusty.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Hey, man, we got some content for you to call in about now, man. We about to shift gears. We going to UFC 264.
Ooh, this is interesting.
Your boy Conor McGregor broke his leg and got a medical stoppage, which was by the good graces of God, for a defeat at the hands of Dustin Poirier.
I agree with you, Fees.
So now, do you feel like if they had finished the round, like if he hadn't broken his leg, do you think Conor would have been able to win that fight? Hell
no. God, no. I was watching it today, man, just rewatching it, just to make sure. You know, I wanted to take everything into perspective. Okay, I know Conor's been, you know, not really in the fight game, looking at his track record, considering his training, just wondering how his career's really been panning out. And at the end of the day, this was kind of an ugly fight for Conor. I mean, the first round, every time Conor leaned in, he got hit hard. Like, he could not lean in confidently in this fight. Poirier was ready for that. He was ready for every close encounter in this fight. And another thing with Conor is he seemed flat. Like, way more kicking than punching. Like, I get it, missing your strikes, and excuse me, I don't get it. Like, I know Conor can effectively use the legs in a fight, but, I mean, come on, dude. Like, it kind of felt like you knew the approach he was taking to the fight, like, 45 seconds in. And then they go to the ground, and it was just, I mean, Poirier worked it from there, and people were like, oh, guillotine from McGregor, but it wasn't pretty. There were a few elbows from Conor, and then Dustin was working him again. I mean, Herb Dean was getting in on that ground and counter. Like, is this going to happen? I mean, you're wondering minute and a half into the fight, and Poirier's teeing off on Conor like, all right, here we go. This is kind of how it ended with the fight. That was just a few months ago. I think it would have ended the exact same way. Second round, maybe middle of the second round. Conor was going to get knocked out in that fight. Hate to break it to you guys. Conor McGregor was going to get knocked out in that fight. No question about that. Poirier had his number. He knew what was going on. And I know we're going to get into some of the comments, but McGregor's ass got saved in that fight. The ankle might have been a good thing for him because more memes and whatever would have followed probably would not have been nice for Conor. I'll just leave it at that. So, yeah, Conor would have definitely lost his fight.
I mean, I agree that he would have lost the fight. However, I don't think it would have been as one-sided as you think it was. So, I mean, if you look at the work that was done in the first round, that was the longest 5-minute round that I've ever watched.
Right.
That felt like it was at least 2 rounds long.
Right.
So, I mean, for the first half of the round, Conor was giving him work. Mm-hmm. I mean, he landed 79% of his strikes. Like, Conor was missing nothing. He was kicking. His punches was on point. Then he tried to put him in that guillotine, and it looked like it was a wrap to the point that he got taken down.
Right.
But even once he was on the ground, they were trading shots. He was taking bows. He was dishing them out. Like, they were going back and forth. Even from his back, Conor was out there. Like, he was going toe-to-toe.
Yeah.
He wasn't winning in the first round, ultimately.
Yeah.
But he was absolutely in it. It wasn't lopsided like the judges said.
Yeah.
So when I saw the judges' scorecards, it was 10-9 on one and 10-8 on the other two. Mm-hmm. It was not a 10-8 round.
Yeah.
It was closer than that. I think it should have been 10-9 across the board.
Right. I think considering the hype, like when you've looked at how Conor has fought his entire career and when you look at how he always comes out in a fight, he just seemed flat. He just seemed absolutely flat to me. Like, that was not Conor McGregor fighting. And I think Poirier knew that immediately and took advantage of it. I think it would have been a knockout, absolutely, bro. And I hate to say that because I was like, okay, Conor got embarrassed last time, memes, like couple hard rights to the face, man. Like he knocked, he was knocked back. He was not there for that second fight, man, when he got rocked. And he had no business losing that fight, like we've said. And I totally understand, the leg got broken in this fight, but I think he would have got knocked out if it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I mean, they say Dustin actually, he pinpointed the spot where it actually happened.
Right.
So he kicked him.
Apparently there's a conspiracy theory about that.
Oh, but no, I mean, he actually heard the leg snap, and he pointed at it. Was like, so the leg had been broke.
Yeah.
He stepped back on it, and then just went on ahead and finished snapping, but it already was done.
God.
Which is, I mean, that would explain how he just stepped back on it and it snapped. So
yeah.
That seemed like a real freak accident. Like you went in, you both missed a punch, you step back and plant, and your leg snapped. Like that was clearly from something prior.
Right, that's what I said. I said he went from rolling his ankle to snapping his ankle real quick. Like that literally was a roll that turned into a break. But
it was higher than his ankle though.
Yeah, it was.
Like that was around like the shin area. Like he broke his leg.
God, I just remember watching the replay. I was like, oh, because like when it happened, it was like, oh, he's covering up, and then the round was over, and then like you immediately heard it, and just everybody knew, and they go into the replay, and it's tough for Conor, man. Really,
I mean, to get the doctor stoppage is like it allowed him to, at the very least, save face. I mean, he's looking for a rematch. He had some extremely questionable comments. I mean, I don't know that he actually deserves a rematch. I mean, but Dustin may give him the rematch just for the mere fact that fighting Conor McGregor is probably the biggest money fight that he can get. It doesn't matter if he fights the next number one contender that he's supposed to fight.
Right.
If he's looking at money, Dana White probably wants him to fight the next man up. Dustin Poirier, he needs that money. They don't make that kind of money in MMA. I mean, that's why they say Conor has gotten complacent because he's now the $100 million man. MMA fighters are not getting paid like that.
Yeah, Conor made the most money last year, $180 million. And the year before, he made like $95 million. That's unheard of. Proper 12 has absolutely, between Proper 12 and Floyd Mayweather, those two events alone have skyrocketed his career to what it's been. And I'm not saying he hasn't earned anything, but I think we can all agree those two major moments really put him where he's at right now.
Oh, they did. I mean, that's the exact reason why he would potentially end up fighting Dustin Poirier for a fourth time.
Yeah.
Not because he deserves the shot, because Poirier's like, I can't make any more money than fighting you with anyone else.
That is a good point there.
I mean, for that reason, I could see him fighting him for a fourth time.
Right. That's why you had Jake Paul, talking about, because people were trying to say whatever about Jake Paul and celebrity boxing and ruin the game. But he was like, let's check this out, though. Like, why don't we talk about the UFC? Like, they don't pay their fighters anything. When you start out, if I'm still correct on this, when you start out as a UFC fighter, you get paid like $50,000 or less for the fight. And then if you win, then you get paid, I think, another sum of that. They do not make a lot of money considering what they're doing. Like, these dudes aren't even coming away with $1 million a fight. Chad Ochocinco did that in 6 minutes. Like, come on, man. It's kind of embarrassing when you dig into it. I mean, Ochocinco might not ever box again. Made $1 million.
I mean, speaking of Jake, Jake was on quite a few sports talk shows today.
Oh, really? About?
Talking about Conor. I mean, he talked about more than Conor, but he said that he would offer Conor McGregor $23 to fight him. $23. So he can go and get 23 McChickens with that.
Oh my God. Jake is so stupid, dude.
He was like, hey,
why y'all hit the button for that? That was not funny.
He said he keeps losing. He's on a down spiral. And he's not in the business to fight against losers. He killed Conor with this. I mean, but then he turned around and said he would probably go the distance. He does have respect. But then he turned around and made one of the most ignorant statements that I've ever heard.
Jake?
Yes.
Okay.
Jake says that his goal is to fight 12 boxers and beat them. But of these 12, his ultimate goal is within the next 3 years to beat Canelo Alvarez.
Bruh.
Canelo? Seriously? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Like I said, great plan, bro. Shoot for the stars. Don't get me wrong, but 3 years to go from like you think that within 3 years' time you can fight an average of a boxer every 3 months and you'll be able to beat maybe the best boxer in the world right now. Yeah, that was a good one, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
But man, yeah. Like I said, great goal, but I'm not so sure Jake's going to beat Tyron Woodley. And a lot of people think I'm crazy for that, but I think that Jake-Tyron Woodley fight is going to be great. Do you have Jake beating Tyron Woodley?
Yeah.
Really? Knockout?
I mean, probably. He's a big dude, and he actually can fight a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I can't see Tyron Woodley getting knocked out by Jake Paul. Not that easy. I could see like a decision fight for sure. We're gonna chop that for another day.
See Wesley in there on the Facebook.
Uh-oh.
He getting a little MMA talk in. Like, apparently he ain't believing Conor either.
Jamila, that is not true. LeBron James is not one of the best things that's ever happened to the Lakers. Can I remove that comment from the chat? Is that possible?
What?
Remove? Yeah, I can. Come on, Jamila.
She's a Laker fan. That's even more ridiculous.
Like, come on.
Bruh.
I'm going to stay on topic here, but when LeBron went to the Lakers, like my ultimate thing, because like, okay, one, why? But two, to me, it kind of said that he knew his legacy was coming to an end because at that point he completely sided his family. Oh, this is for the wife and kids. Like when the rumors were going on, he had put his kids into a school in LA, basketball, was looking at property in this area. So like LeBron's legacy is set, but it did make me wonder why, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess Cleveland was that bad.
Bruh.
I don't know, man.
One of the best things that happened to the Lakers, did we forget about Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West,
right?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. Jesus, man, get out of here.
Right.
The list is long.
Thank you, Cher. Get in on
It's a long laundry list.
Get in them.
Stop it. So, man, last thing about this Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier massacre of the broken leg. What was your take on Conor's post-fight words about Dustin Poirier's wife being in his DMs?
What? Realistically, I thought it was arguably, yes, of course, it was disrespectful, but I feel like that was maybe one of the weakest, like, comebacks per se. Like, seriously, that's all you can resort to. And another thing it just told me is the whole nice guy Conor after Khabib, that was a facade. That was an absolute facade because as soon as Poirier started talking, Conor immediately turned back to what he was, chirping it up, talking at the press conferences like, think about it. After he lost to Khabib, this guy was like smiling in the ring. He lost to Poirier, was smiling again. Oh, you obviously can't be not active in this business. And, I wish the best for this guy's family. And then you're out here tweeting about potentially threatening his family. I hate to even go this far, but it has to be mentioned. There was an alternate angle of Conor basically telling Dustin Poirier that he was going to kill him and his wife in their sleep. Literally. And Dustin talked about that in the press conference. He even talked about it after the fight. This guy's a dirtbag. And I hate to say it, Conor McGregor is slowly starting to become the cow instead of the butcher. He's lost 4 of his last 7 fights. He hasn't been the same since the first fight with Diaz. He hasn't. And I don't want to hear anything about the Cerrone fight. He beat a 36 years old Cerrone. I remember I was with my friends, right? And I was saying, so Conor's like coming back to the octagon, right? That was the first fight after Khabib. It was a fool's gold fight. They needed something to get the hype back behind him, say, oh, Conor's back. Here he comes. And I was telling my friends like, okay, I feel like this could go no more than second or third round. And my friends were just hell bent. Oh, he's going to sleep him. Oh, he's going to sleep him. Then it happened, right? And they're like, oh, I told you. And I said, well, if you think about it, like, come on, bro. Cerrone has lost 14 of his last 20 fights, if I'm not mistaken. Like, Cerrone's way on the back end of his career. He's a legend, but
he's got a nickname.
Right, exactly. Let's cut it out with this. I love Conor's story. Like, I know the dude was on welfare. I know he came, over as a plumber. And the dude sold out money, like top 5 UFC events all have Conor McGregor. Second highest boxing event, Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. We know the dude can draw money. But you just got to understand when it's your time, and I don't think now is the time for Conor. So those those post-fight comments were just take your L, bro. Go recoup. I mean, great, you're promoting the next fight. Cool. We know you want to fight again, though. You just broke your leg. Like, I don't know, man. I didn't really like it. Didn't really sit right with me.
Even for Conor, we expect him to say outlandish stuff and like that. I mean, that's your brand and that's what you do.
Right. So,
you
like, in a way, it's not
talk
surprising.
Trash and you say all kinds of out the way stuff. But even for Conor, that was out the way.
Yeah. And
Like,
then Dustin was like,
it was beyond distasteful, especially for the reasoning. I mean, he's saying like, "Oh, your wife's in my DMs." It's highly likely she was in his DMs because of the donations to Poirier's foundation. Like they actually had things going on behind the scenes where they were like amicably talking like about business. It wasn't like she was like, "Hey, what you doing after the fight? After you beat my husband?" Like, man, get out of here, Conor. Like you tried to really make light of something that was extremely innocent because you broke your leg in a fight that you thought that you were winning, which you were not.
No.
You were in it, but you weren't winning.
Yep.
It's like, man, to go that route, now he's going to have 0 fans. Like, now it's going to be people watching him hoping he loses.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be what he's going for.
Yeah.
But you can't really ride that wave. I mean, what you're taking the Floyd Mayweather blueprint. Floyd Mayweather takes that blueprint of everyone hoping that he loses every time he steps in the ring because he's never lost. It's different when nobody has beat you. Then you can go in there and be the villain and everybody pays top dollar and say like, man, this is going to be the one. He's going to beat him. And then it doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. You've been beat 6 times. How many more times do you have to get beat up before you're not a draw? You might not be a draw even in your next fight.
Exactly.
It's like your next fight better be your best one.
Yeah, absolutely. Correction, Donald Cerrone is 4-6 in his last 10. Excuse my dramatic stretch of 14 for his last 20. 4 for 6 in his last 10 fights. But here's the thing about Conor. I mean, it's like, it feels like Ronda Rousey 2.0. Fighter, great story. Takes the scene. Absolutely takes the scene. Potentially the face of the fight game. There's no question that Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor were at the front of the men and women's fight game at one point or another in their career.
At the same time.
Right. But once you get the spotlight and you suffer that one loss, just that one. And for me, I think it was the Khabib loss. Absolutely. I think it was the Khabib loss. And you try to get these fights and you try to get these fights and you keep losing and you can clearly see your eyes are not lying to you that Conor McGregor is deteriorating in front of us. Hang it up potentially before someone hangs it up for you. I'm just put it that way.
I mean, somebody's going to have to do it for him.
Exactly. Yeah. Knowing Conor, yes, Conor will have to get publicly embarrassed before he stops fighting. And I know it's in the dude's blood, but he's got so much of a life ahead of him. I mean, Proper 12 is doing great. Like, he's in the commercial. Like, we know he's drawing the money. We know Conor can draw money outside of fighting. He's changed the fighting game. I just think you need to save a little bit of the end of your career and just kind of understand, like I said, when the moment's not for you.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly doesn't get it at all.
Yep.
So, man, before we change gears, when we come back, we're going to talk about Team USA, their 2-game slide, the recovery, and what this means moving forward for USA basketball and everything involved with that. But before we do that, we're going to take a slight commercial break from my man Mike Beasley. He's going to tell us how to do it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that famous facts fees, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in once again, like every Wednesday night right here. Watching our guys, Famous Facts Fees and Adam Lewis, Petty Sportz, 8 o'clock every week.
Yeah.
Brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studios. You know how they do it. They keep it 100. They go in hard. And you know what? They give 2 shits about what the naysayers say. The only opinion that matters over here is the one they give out. You know what I'm talking about? Go to kingsbroadcasting.com, spend some money with your boys. You see the merch over there, man. You know what I'm saying? They got it going on right now. You know, they got the shirts, they got the mugs, they got everything right now for the low price of what you want to pay for one of these great gifts. They make a good keepsake, all that, man. So thank you for everybody that's sharing the show tonight. Thank you for everybody that's in the chat room. Do call in. Don't be afraid. 678-871-9602. 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. We love to hear from you guys. You know what I'm saying? So Thank you so much. Without no you, there is no us. Go to the different platforms to check us out on the podcast scene. You can go to Apple, Google, Spotify, all those, man. You know what I'm saying? And check us out over there. And you can get the latest and greatest shows that have already previously aired. This show will air tomorrow before 12 p.m. So, you know what I'm saying? Watch us on Boxcast. We all over the place. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Petty Sportz with a Z. You know what I'm saying? Petty Sportz, we everywhere. Like that card say, we everywhere you want to be. ATL, ho.
Visa.
Now back to the regular schedule program.
Yes, sir. Just like I told you, man, when we come back from this break, we're going to jump all the way into USA basketball and exhibition play. We've had Team USA playing out in Vegas frequently, back-to-back games at that. But they took a L. They took multiple L's. They lost, like Team USA lost 90-87 to Nigeria in an exhibition game on Saturday, and then turned right back around on Monday and lost again to Australia. I mean, they did actually find their stride against Argentina last night, so they did finally find a way to win a game. But with all the NBA talent and the superstars on this team, it's pretty disheartening. So, I mean, was this simply a wake-up call for Team USA? Or, I mean, should we really be expecting like a 2004-esque bronze maybe performance out of our team this year?
Yeah, man, I think this was really just a wake-up call for Team USA because, you know, as the years go on, and we hear it talked about all the time, and it's very true that the talent in the NBA it's at an all-time high. And when you look at what these players are actually able to do, and then you put them all together with a guy like Greg Popovich, who's truly going to try to take them the distance, we have a lot of potency when it comes to these tournaments and playing against these other countries. But when you also look at the same time, it's kind of like we saw again in this regular season. It's not injuries, but it's chemistry. And that's what's falling short here with this USA team is the chemistry. And they're just not familiar with each other at the end of the day. You can tell when the ball's moving around the court, when they're calling plays, they're just not all on the same page. And yes, it might only be, you know, not immense losses, but considering what we have been, you know, in professional basketball when we represent our country, I mean, yeah, this is huge to us, you know? And so we need chemistry. We need more reinforcement. We need more really just, it seems like the guys just need a couple extra days in the gym more than anything because we don't look awful. But also at the end of the day, it makes you wonder, the way we play basketball in the United States might not be the way they play around the world. We love to run the floor, coast to coast, shoot threes, and our big guys are versatile. That might not be the case everywhere else. So when someone can efficiently play that, push you around, keep you out of the paint, those rough checking fouls that are kind of going to irritate you because you got to stick with your game, that could be what USA is running into right now. And we don't see a lot of that. And it's kind of like the whole element of surprise. When we talk about, you know, Taysom Hill with the Saints, oh, they'll figure him out. He just kind of did his thing because they didn't know. Could be kind of the same thing right now with Team USA. You hope so, but there is some cause for concern considering what we have been, you know, the past runs with this team.
That was an extreme homer take for you to add.
Oh, I had to think, and I was like, let me draw up an example. And, you know, I had to go with it. I'm sorry, but it was good, right?
Man, cut it out. So, man, what I've been looking at with Team USA, like the offense is flowing. They're able to score when they want to. The issue is they're not playing any defense, and the teams are getting off on them.
Right.
Nigeria dropped 23 pointers on them.
Jeez.
I mean, they went 20 for 43, 47% from the three-point line.
Yep.
The three-point line is closer. I mean, these guys are coming out there. They're not playing defense, and they lighten it up. They saw the same thing against Australia. Australia had a 50-40-90 game on them. I mean, we talk about that type of stuff like, hey, that's some Kevin Durant type stats.
As a team.
Yes, the team. They shot 53% from the field, 42% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. Like, Australia missed nothing. I mean, both of these teams, they had 6 NBA players on them apiece. Granted, you haven't heard of most of them. They've got a bunch of guys. You're like, wait, they're technically NBA players, but no way they should be given this roster hell.
Right.
I mean, you're looking at Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard.
We're talking about guys that
Bam
dropped 30.
Adebayo, which Bam actually could have played for the Nigerian team, but he's playing for our team. So imagine if he had decided to play for them. Nigeria might have blown us out. But we got Zach LaVine, Draymond Green, Kevin Love. Granted, well, I don't know why Kevin Love is still in the NBA or on the USA team.
People think he's still in Minnesota, bro. He's just not. You're just not that guy anymore, buddy. You're just not that guy.
I mean, Kevin has more miles on him than Blake Griffin. I would have rather we had Blake there than him.
You're not lying.
He used to be a hooper, but Kevin, I legit didn't know Kevin was still in the league.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah, the other day, because he's just been so under the radar, like, he's playing, but it's like, what is he doing? I looked up his stats and I was like, what is this guy still doing? Just kind of lollygagging over in Cleveland, like, all right, bro, you had your run. We know you're an all-timer. Okay, there's no question about it. Okay, we're not going to talk top 5, 10 center of all time, but like, we know the dude can ball. But it did make you wonder, well, where has he been in the NBA? So
I mean, we got Patty Mills and Joe Ingles going off on us. Like,
right.
Come on, man.
Right.
Just because they play in the NBA does not excuse the fact that they out there dragging our premier superstars.
Yep.
So hopefully it was a wake-up call. I can't, with any real conviction, say that I believe that it is. I mean, this looks like we definitely have more L's to come. When we watch them play in international play for this Olympic gold medal, I have zero confidence to say that I feel like they're going to win a gold medal. It's going to be sad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've heard other people come out and say, like, man, like, you're going to be the reason why there's a redeemed team 2. The 04 team went out and got a bronze medal. And the 04 team had megastars on it, led by Allen Iverson and Tim Duncan, had LeBron James on it. So, I mean, they had marquee-level superstars. This team, I don't think they can get it done. I mean, they are missing a couple of guys.
Yeah.
There's a few guys that are in the finals right now, which if the finals go 7 games, I don't know if they'll actually even show up to play.
Right.
Because you got Devin Booker, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday are actually slated to play on this team. Trae Young didn't get picked. Zion Williamson didn't get picked. James Harden was supposed to be on the team, but he's nursing an injury, so he didn't make the trip.
Yeah.
So it's like there are a lot of guys who were supposed to be there who aren't, but with the collection of talent that is actually out there right now representing the United States, no excuse. It's ridiculous.
I highly agree. I got Andre over here saying that Bradley Beal just entered COVID-19 protocol, so his availability is in question for the Olympics. So that is tragic. Jamila, to be honest, I thought the USA men's team was just playing around and saving their energy for the Olympics. I'd like to believe that too, but it can't be one of those things where you give too much and then you're out of the race, And, like Fees was saying, it is time to fix things, but I don't think we're as out of it. It's really kind of a 50-50 with like the community right now. Some feel like we're out of it. Some feel like there's no problem. Either way, you can't continue to play like you have been and expect to go far, in this tournament.
No, not at all.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty sad. I hope they get their lives together, but we're going to switch gears to someone who has everything together in working order.
Wow.
And like a well-oiled single-man machine.
He lined it up for us, too, man. Like, when I saw this come back on the slate, I was like, look at you, guy. You heard us talking about you. You're going to do your thing.
I'm talking about Novak Djokovic.
That Joker.
2021 Wimbledon champion. 2021 French Open champion. 2021 Australian Open champion. 20 Grand Slam titles tied for first with Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. We're talking about the Joker. I mean, his list of accolades is 10 miles long.
Another homer take, like Drew Brees in the record books.
He's tied. How was that a homer take? I'm not from Serbia.
No, I'm saying for me with the relation. You talking about the record books being never mind, bro. Read your stats, bro. Read your damn stats.
I mean, hey, he's one major away from standing alone with the most men's championships ever
Of all time.
and becoming only the second player to complete a calendar slam, winning all 4 majors consecutively in the same calendar year.
Who was the first?
Rod Laver is the only person who ever did it. He did it in 1969, which
Wow.
I was about to pawn him off, but he just ever so slightly got into the open era.
Yeah.
Because most of Rod Laver's championships are before the open era when professionals were not allowed to play.
Yeah.
So I put Rod Laver in the same category as Margaret Court.
Okay.
Get her out of my face. Like, I don't understand why people always talk about, well, Margaret has 24 and Serena has 23. Margaret didn't win any of them over professionals, so you can miss me with her.
Right.
Rod Laver played a very small stint in the open era, and he did win. So, I mean, he was good, but he doesn't have very many when we start talking about in the open era.
Yep.
So, I mean, there is a dude named Kent Rosewall who has 23 men's major championships. But he's in the exact same boat as Margaret Court. So I don't count him. 20 titles is tied for first for all intents and purposes. We're not worried about that guy. But let's just look at what Novak Djokovic has actually accomplished over his career. The dude has 30 finals appearances, and that's in the majors, second to only Roger Federer, who has 31. So he's one behind him.
Yep.
His consecutive Grand Slam streak at 4 is tied with Rod Laver, who we just mentioned. He's at 317 Grand Slam wins in straight matches, which he's second to Roger Federer. 9 Australian Opens, he's first in that. 82-8 record. Like,
Jesus.
ridiculous. He doesn't lose.
Yeah, he's untouchable in the Open.
Yeah, he's got 6 Wimbledons, which places him at 3rd.
Yep.
Federer has 8, Pete Sampras has 7, but he's got a 79-10 record there. It's crazy. He's got 3 U.S. Opens and 2 French Opens. Granted, we all know Rafael Nadal has 13 French Opens, and no one can beat him there.
Right.
And that number is not reachable.
Right.
But he is the only person to beat Nadal 2 times
Yep.
at the French. And I mean, to put that all the way in perspective, Rafael Nadal's record at the French Open is 105-3. 2 of those losses are to Novak Djokovic. The dude has a 96% win percentage after winning the first set. Like, if he wins the first set, you're done. But you make it even worse. If he loses the first set, he wins 43% of those matches, which is 4th all-time behind Bjorn Borg, Pete Sampras, and Ivan Lendl. So, I mean, that is some very rarefied air that he's sitting in when you look at all of his numbers. He's finished the year in ranked number 1 7 times, which is first. The only guys who have done it more are all before the open era, so they don't count. No one, since professionals have been allowed to play, have done it more times than that guy. He's also the first player to win all 4 majors twice. No one has 2 of all 4 of the tournaments. And he's also got this is really one of the kickers. He's 223-101 versus top 10 ranked opponents for a 69% win percentage against the best players that the world has to offer, which is by far first. His win percentage is surpassed by none when he plays against the best. Put him on the court, he's going to take you out. I mean, that is crazy right there. But even you look at his career earnings, he's at $151.9 million career prize money, first all time. First all time for one single season in prize money at $21.15 million earned. Like, the dude, his accolades, they're surpassed by none.
Right.
August 30th, the 2021 U.S. Open in New York. This will give Novak the calendar slam. It'll put him in first place by himself for total Grand Slams won. It'll put him in 4th place for most U.S. Opens won. Like, there's not even a whole lot. You can't argue against Novak.
Right.
I've been on here multiple times when we talk about tennis.
That's why I
and
said
told
he
you
did
that,
it for us.
this dude is unarguably the greatest tennis player of all time.
Absolutely.
And I'm not talking just men's tennis. I know there are a lot of folks that be like, he's not better than Serena. She has 23. I'm a huge Serena fan, but Serena did not play against the second and third best tennis players of all time for her whole career.
Right.
And win all her matches over them.
Exactly.
This dude has a winning record over Nadal and Djokovic, won multiple titles over both of them.
Exactly.
And did this on their watch.
Right.
It's not a knock on her. But
Joker's just more cold-blooded. That's just what it comes down to. He rose to the occasion when he needed to the most.
His resume is undisputed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't argue with it. So, man, it's crazy. You see, I went on a whole rant about Novak Djokovic all the way into the top of the hour. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a quick pause break. It's 9 o'clock. It's the top of the hour. Y'all know how you can find Petty Sports. You look us up. We're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. We're on Simple Radio. Look us up on the TikTok page. Adam got that thing popping.
Yes, sir.
We on YouTube, just like a lot of you are watching right now. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We everywhere the social media is. Just look us up. If you haven't found us, you ain't looking. It's Petty Sports with a Z, just like you see on the shirt, just like you see on the screen. That's how you locate us. So, man, we ain't even going to hold you no more. You are listening to Petty Sports, the podcast, brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studios. We are on hour number 2. The show is on and popping. We got all kind of content for you. My man Adam, holla at him one time.
What is going on, everybody? Top of the hour, Wednesday night, Petty Sports, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Appreciate y'all going crazy in the chat. And on YouTube, guys, we're really on track to be able to monetize sooner rather than later with all the subs, all the views, all the comments you guys been throwing at us. And like I said, too, just put a link out there, every bit of our content in one click. So you don't have to go look for every platform you want to find us on. It's all right there in one. So like we both said, you now officially have no excuse to not follow the show. And if you're not looking, if you can't find us, it's because you're not looking for the hottest sports podcast in the city, man. Super pumped for the second hour. We don't have any callers, though, so you, the viewers, are failing on your part so far, so get on a damn phone. You're doing great in the chat. Now we just need you on the phone. That's it. Fees what we got for the second hour, man.
Man, I need for y'all to hit us up.
Yeah.
We got a cold second half of the show. We got a little yay or nay segment that my man Adam about to jump on us with. We got some trade proposals. And as a couple of you are sitting in the chat waiting on, we got expectations versus reality for the AFC North. So, man, keep this thing locked and get ready for it. What you got for me on yay or nay?
Man, so here we go with these NBA Finals. It's been a crazy series with, the Bucks battling back. And like I've been saying, Chris Middleton, is he going to be that guy tonight? Is Devin Booker going to put it away and make it a 3-1 lead? We will see. But we got some scenarios here that we're going to throw at you. And we'll see, is this going to happen in the NBA Finals? Yay. Or is it not going to? Nay. Fees, let's play it, man. So I'll throw the first one at you. Your favorite player in the world, Chris Paul, will average 20 points and 10 assists in his first NBA Finals. Yay or nay?
I'm going to have to go yay on that just for the mere fact that he's currently averaging 24.7 and 8.7, which he's not very far off it for the moment. And when I crunched a few numbers, I'm like, oh, he's absolutely going to do it. If they end the series in 5, which is what I told you they're going to do, all he need to do is average 13 points and 12 assists for the next 2 games, which will land him right at 20 and 10.
Yep.
If they play 6 games, he'll need 15.3 points and 12 assists. Each one of those are extremely doable.
Yep.
And I would expect him to do that. I mean, the assist totals might be high. He might not do 12 assists both games. He might have 15 in one and 11 in the other. But any way that you shake it, he's going to get the assists and the point totals because he doesn't need much more to average 20 and 10. Even if they lose the series,
right,
he's going to finish averaging 20 and 10.
Yeah, right there with it. It's going to be a yay for me as well. And you look in the past series, 25.5 points, and 10 assists against Denver when they swept, and then 23-9 against the Clippers when CP3 really stepped up and had a couple of those scoring games. And then you look overall in this postseason, he's 19-9 in this postseason run with the Suns. So I definitely think he's going to get to that 20 and 10 aspect. Now, here's one that is definitely going to to throw everyone for a loop, but I think it's reasonable because if the finals can roll Milwaukee's way, I feel like Chris Middleton could play well enough to win the finals MVP. Fees, yay or nay that Chris Middleton will win finals MVP if the Bucks win the finals?
Hell no. No. Ain't no way that's happening, man. I mean, like, I'll say the only otherworldly scenario that would land Chris Middleton a finals MVP is if Giannis got hurt in the first quarter tonight and Middleton went on to score 40-plus points and 10-plus assists in all 3 games after this, winning all 3 of them and taking the title. It would take that much.
Yeah, he would have to carry the entire team.
I mean, Giannis is averaging 34, 14, and 5.
Yep.
Like, he's almost double all Chris Middleton's numbers. He's at 19, 7, and 6.
Yeah.
It would be a crime of man for Giannis not to win the finals MVP if the Bucks won the series. So the only way Chris Middleton can win it is if Giannis gets hurt and they still win. And he'd have to get hurt now.
Yeah.
It can't happen in the last game and Giannis goes for 44 straight games, but the last game, Chris Middleton balls out. Still not enough.
Yeah.
Giannis will get it even hurt.
Right. Absolutely. It's going to be a nay for me, too. I was thinking of yay when the series initially started because I didn't know how Giannis was going to be. But even the first game back, Giannis absolutely went off. Back-to-back 40-point double-doubles in these NBA playoffs. Like you mentioned, averaging 34 a game. Giannis has been an absolute monster. I mean, we saw in the Brooklyn series, he averaged 34 and 13 a game after going down 0-2. And seems like he's kind of on the same trend here. So I'm definitely going to say a nay for Chris Middleton as well. Now, like you said, if Giannis had been hurt the whole series or if he went down tonight and took them the whole way, yes, then he would be able to do it. But we know that's not Chris Middleton as a player. Now, on to the next one with your boy, Devin Booker, who is actually a really clutch player. I don't think a lot of people realize the big shots Devin Booker has actually had in his career. And of course, we know the prolific scorer that he has come to be to this day. But overall, at any point in time in this series, do you think Devin Booker can hit a game winner in this series? Yay or nay?
I'm absolutely going yay on this one. I mean, he had a big game in game 1 and game 2. Game 3 was disgusting for him, which we've watched him do this all throughout the playoffs in game 3, not show up. Game 4, he's going to come out. If this game is tight, I think this might be the night that you get a Devin Booker game winner. But it's definitely in the cards that if one of these games comes all the way down to the wire, Chris Paul isn't taking that shot.
Right.
He's going to pass it to Devin Booker, and Devin Booker has proven to be big time.
Yep.
He's not a superstar yet to be like, oh, he can carry the team.
Right.
He's to be discussed in the likes of like a Kevin Durant, a Luka, LeBron, or any of those guys.
Right.
But he's definitely emergent and like in the purgatory realm of, is he a megastar or is he an all-star?
Right.
He's right there. And you give him the opportunity, like he'll cash in on it, and that'll go a long way towards creating the legacy of Devin Booker.
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you. I think he'll be able to hit a game winner as well in this series. That's going to be a yay for me. When you go back through some of the tape, this kid's already got 6 to 7 of these in his 6-year career, and more than half of those are on the road. He's cold-blooded. He's there for the big shots, and Devin Booker, time and time again, shows that to the Suns and to the NBA culture that, hey, I can totally be that dude. I will take that big shot. I will put it on the line to take my team to the next level. Now on to another one, which I really thought that it was going to be, it could have happened with Giannis because him coming off of the injury, hearing Giannis, the way he spoke about the knee, and then in game 1, just a simple 20 points. He's definitely proven us wrong in game 2 and game 3. This really shouldn't even be on here, man. But it's going to be Giannis will be disappointing from this point on in the finals. Back-to-back 40-point games. Rather, here's a better one for it. Yay or nay, Giannis continues to have this type of output for the rest of the NBA finals.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, it's a nay that he'll be disappointing.
Correct.
But it is possible that if he doesn't continue what he's doing and they lose,
right,
then it could be extremely disappointing. Mm-hmm. If Giannis comes out tonight and lays an egg, and I mean, even for Giannis, it's kind of absurd that we would say laid an egg. If he only scores 30 points, it's not going to be enough. They'll lose by a lot.
Right.
If he doesn't reach 40, he has to get 40 a game.
Yep.
But if he gets 25 to 30 points, They lose the next 2 games, and he's just regular Giannis, which, I mean, that's a testament to how good he is. The fact that he can score 25 to 30 and we'd be like, he didn't do enough and he didn't have a good game. But he very well possibly could be disappointing in the back end of this series as well as he's played so far.
Right.
Granted, they haven't showed that they have anything that can stop him. If they're able to put a wall up and shut him down for the next 2 games and take the finals a la the Raptors and the Heat, then, yeah, he absolutely could be disappointing. I don't see that happening. Even with them losing, I don't see him being disappointing. Right. He's going to keep scoring 40.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going to say in terms of the question, will he keep up this momentum for the rest of the NBA Finals? That's going to be a yay for me. Giannis has really surprised me, really impressed me so far in his first NBA Finals run. I mean, the back-to-back 40-point games, and yes, all of those shots might have been within, 5 to 7 feet of the basket, but if you can continue to have your bread and butter down low and continue to control the tempo of the game and establish your position and slowly but surely wear down that young Suns team who, in terms of size, like Giannis has them on that aspect, obviously. I think Giannis is the best rim player in the NBA, and he's showing that right now in these NBA Finals. So I'm proud of Giannis, and he's going to be a huge factor for every game, no matter what happens with the rest of this series. Now, some more big man talk here. DeAndre Ayton has really burst onto the scene, mentioning a lot about Chris Paul. We've seen a couple of emotional moments with Monty Williams and him on the sideline. But Brook Lopez has kind of had an interesting postseason as well. Had some big games for the Bucks at times, and overall, you've wondered, could Brook Lopez maybe be that 2 or 3 on nights where other guys aren't stepping up? So the yay or nay here is DeAndre Ayton will exploit Brook Lopez and get the better of him in this series.
I'll say nay, but it's contingent. I say nay just for the mere fact that Brook Lopez is not getting minutes. So long as Giannis is out there, you don't really get a heavy dosage of Brook Lopez. He comes in for a few minutes to spell him, and when they're in at the same time, he's ineffective because Giannis has the ball, and everybody is just really just getting out of his way. I mean, Ayton doesn't have the opportunity to exploit Brook Lopez. If Giannis got hurt, then absolutely Ayton he'd tear Brook a new one. It'd be ugly, and you'd see monster numbers coming out of Ayton, and even without him going toe-to-toe with Brook Lopez, he is putting up good numbers. I mean, outside of the game, the last game, that they really just put him in foul trouble, which was kind of foul. Like, it seemed like they targeted him. They had to make sure that they got him out of the game so the Bucks didn't get swept. But the only way that Brook Lopez gets exposed is if Giannis is not in the game. Other than that, I don't see it happening just for the mere fact that Giannis is Ayton's matchup. So that's just not it.
Right. Yeah, I'm there with you too, man. I don't think that Ayton will exploit him either because you did make a good mention about the minutes. But I think even further than that, I think a lot of people underestimate Brook Lopez. I think Brook Lopez has kind of brought more light to his game and to his name because, like, people forget that this guy's a pretty good player with the Nets. Like, a lot of people don't know he's the franchise leader for points scored with Brooklyn. He played with him for a good part of his career, but outside of that, the way he's played in these playoffs, being able to step up and, like, kind of look a little unstoppable at some points when he's in the paint. I mean, I think that's really brought a lot of light and shown people that Brook Lopez can be a valuable piece on a championship team. So I'm going to say nay in terms of that, in terms of that aspect, because Brook Lopez is a veteran and is still talented so far. Now the last one here, and I still think it could, if the Bucks decide to kick it up, because I'm not counting the Bucks out, even when it was 2-0 and the Bucks were down, still wasn't counting them out. They're at home tonight. They've only lost one in the postseason. Do you think this series could go 7 games?
No, I absolutely don't.
No 7-game series at all if the Bucks push it.
I'm going to give that a nay. Like, I got Phoenix winning at least 2 of the next 3 games. I mean, I'm taking Phoenix in 5, but you might get the Suns in 6. So, you got to make that thing flow.
Right.
It's either Phoenix in 5 or Suns in 6. Either way you swing it. The Phoenix Suns are winning their first NBA championship this year. This will be Giannis's 3rd consecutive disappointing finish in the NBA playoffs. It's just like that sometimes.
Right.
I mean, one year you make it to the conference finals. One year you go to the semifinals. Then you make it to the finals. It ain't in the cards for you. And then when everybody's healthy next year, you're not getting back.
Right.
it's a very unfortunate reality. I mean, Giannis is going to have to call the wizard. He's going to have to put up some astronomical numbers to will his team to win this finals, because if they don't win it, they're not getting back.
Yeah. I think the only way the Bucks can win this is if it goes 7 games. So that's going to be a yay for me if the Bucks decide to push this series, because Phoenix has already had the big 2-0 lead. Once you get up 2-0, people don't realize that it's really just, a nickel and a dime away from winning the title. You just have to focus in on those last 2 games. But if they can battle back and make it 2-2, then this is just a best of 5 series after that point. Who wins? The best 2 out of 3. Whoever comes away with the next 2 out of 3 games is obviously going to be the winner. And I think that is the only way. If the Bucks want to slow down this fast Phoenix team, they're going to have to impose their size like they have and like they're going to have to tonight in Game 4 in order to steal it. They are going to have to win the series off size. I think Phoenix is more of a potent offense, not by much, but they are a better scoring unit. Bucks are better defensively, and I think they'll push you around a lot more. So that is going to be a yay for me. And that's going to do it for the segment, guys. That was a good one. Loved it, man. That was a good one. I think these NBA finals, I don't want to put an asterisk next to it. As much as everybody wants to, everybody dealt with the same thing. I think either way, a superstar that we've been wanting to get a ring is going to come away with one, obviously, whether it's Giannis or Chris Paul. But I think we know who's going to take this one.
Yeah,
Sons of 5 or 6, like you said.
Unfortunately, Chris Paul is going to get this one. But we're going to move on to a couple of teams. One that got bounced from the playoffs, one that did not make the playoffs, which was clearly injury-ridden. The Golden State Warriors have been discussing trades to get Dame Lillard. Will this be a good move for Golden State?
Man, So they have deeply internally discussed the trade. And this tells me a couple things. So let's just look at the aspect from Klay Thompson. Klay hasn't seen an NBA court in a couple seasons. And I'm kind of coming from the aspect that when you come off of a Achilles and an ACL, you have to consider yourself lucky to get back on an NBA court, because those 2 injuries can take your career completely away from you. And if Klay comes back and is that spray guy that, like you said, can drop 35 a game without dribbling and standing in one spot, you got me there, bro. I'll 100% give that one to you. But we can't assume that that's going to be the same for Klay. Look at the Warriors that were turning into a dynasty right in front of our eyes. Best record in NBA history. We know what happened with that season and everything. But they weren't in these last couple of playoffs, going on a run because of Klay Thompson's health. So you start to wonder, are they really just creating an ultimate failsafe? Because in my mind, I don't think the 3 of them could be on the floor at the same time. I just think that's too small of a lineup. Yes, all 3 of them will spray, but I think at some point you need some size. At some point, a team would figure out how to push you around. And you made a great point. An athletic 4 or 5 feels like the move, or maybe even more of a stockier 3, like kind of like a John Collins, but could shoot, but still has the size, but could be comfortable in the 3 spot, And this is a trend we have seen, teams, people want to say super teams are new, but no, there's going to be definitely 1 star. You want 2 stars. If you can get a 3rd star, which is what looks like Golden State is going to push for, I don't think the Dame acquisition will be good, because when you look at like when they were entertaining a Siakam where they have the 7th pick or the 14th pick, there are bigs out there that you could acquire, or even bigs in the draft potentially that you could bank on for potential. I think you trade for a star though, but Dame, I just think you run too small, and I think you eventually get pushed around to where, okay, now the Golden State Warriors, we know how to beat them. I just think that kind of adds to maybe a formula to how to, debunk the Splash Brothers and what would be Damian Lillard.
I think that's entirely too much. There's no functional need for Dame Lillard in Golden State. Him and Steph play the same position.
Exactly.
And they do the same thing effectively.
Exactly.
You can't have 2 scoring point guards on the court at the same time. Neither one of them can move to the 2. So, Klay is the 2. You're going to have 2 point guards and a 2, and 2 guys who effectively aren't playing defense.
Yep.
Steph ain't guarding nobody, and neither is Dame. So now you got what? Klay coming off of 2 injuries, trying to guard everybody?
Exactly.
And Draymond? It just doesn't make sense. And on top of it, the type of contract that Dame Lillard is going to demand,
he's getting paid.
Who are you giving up for Dame? Every other piece that you think you have You think Brandon Wiggins is a good piece. You think Oubre is good. Like, you're going to have to give up the kitchen sink. You had to give up these 2 picks that you have coming up in the first round of this draft, along with 1 or 2 players and all that salary cap space in order to get Dame, who is not a good fit with what you have. Because you've already got a guy who plays his position, who does what he does. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Think Dame to the Warriors. I have no idea why Golden State is even entertaining talks about this. It's stupid.
Yeah.
They shouldn't do it.
Yeah, and they're pissed, man. Think about it. My uncle said, Golden State's going to sweep Toronto. And I said, okay. And that's when Kawhi went on in that finals, he really made, he became the Claw, Kawhi Leonard. But, and they feel like that finals was for them, and they weren't there because of injuries. And then they go to being the worst team in the NBA. They won 15 games. By far the worst team in the NBA. Then you come back, Steph Curry's getting MVP talks, literally carries this Warrior team on his back to get eliminated in the play-in. These guys are hungry, man. They went to 5 straight finals and realistically should have three-peated. They are thinking about all this, and they know, look, hey, man, Bucks, whether they got a break or not, they're going to be playing well next year. Phoenix potentially could play well next year, the teams in the finals. The Clippers, you've got the Nets, you've got the Nuggets. You've got so many teams in the NBA, in the West, the Lakers, Utah. So they're going to want to make a push because I think they are truly thinking in the back, we can't depend on Klay like we used to. And like you said, if they want him to be the 6'8" guy that defends and shoots the ball well, that's a big task, asking a guy to immediately be a 2-way. That's why when we're talking about Siakam, you got a versatile big man who can create his own shot, run the floor, play big if he needs to. And at the end of the day, I think they need to establish more size because as the years go on, you already know other NBA teams are thinking, how can we beat Golden State next year? They know Klay's going to be back. How can we prepare for what they gave hell to the league for 5 years? How can we try to stop that? Okay, well, if you switch it up a little bit and bring in a big guy like Siakam, that changes your whole plan, your whole chemistry. You can work on that, but now other NBA teams have to work harder. But you could still try to make that tutelage to run for a chip. So, yeah, I think Dame is – and I know some people are going to say, oh, it might just be the same as KD. No, the hell it's not. The offense would still run through Steph Curry and Klay Thompson versus how it ran through KD, really, which is why he got the 2 finals MVPs when he was with Golden State. So – Good thinking, but I think you need to look for a star in bigger positions. You've got more than enough shooting power. There's no question about that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. KD is basically a 7-footer, and he's able to actually guard big men.
Yeah.
Dame and KD are not comparable.
Exactly.
At all. So, I'm going to pull at your Homer strings
I know, man.
one time for this one. Should the Atlanta Hawks make a push for Klay Thompson?
All right.
There it is.
Yeah, right. There's the button. So when you talk about the Hawks, man, I'm all tangled up over here, dude. So when you talk about the Hawks and, what they need to do is get Trae a 2. We've talked about that plenty of times on this show. They need to get Trae Young a second guy because strike while the iron's hot. And we've heard some rumors maybe about Kawhi Leonard. And you can make the same argument with Kawhi as you can with Klay. And especially considering Kawhi might miss all of next season and just had work on the ACL. Do you really want to mortgage a good young future that hasn't had a lot of time to mesh yet? Nate McMillan is there. And I'm not saying that these players are going to immediately just come together and be better and run to a title over this player, but you would look absolutely stupid. Because look, if you're thinking about this trade, you're giving up Collins, you're giving up Bogdanovich, you're giving up you're giving up Hunter. You're probably putting Cam Reddish out the door. Add or take away another player and maybe some picks.
All 4 and picks, that's a lot.
For Klay Thompson, though?
They wouldn't give up that much.
I think they would. I absolutely think they would. And even if it's not, enough players and enough picks still wouldn't be worth it for me. This guy's coming off an Achilles and an ACL. You would get clowned ridiculously if you made a move like that. The fool's gold mentality says, yes, go get him. Absolutely. We know he's a 3-time champion, top shooter of all time. He's an all-timer. There's no question about that. But you cannot assume he will be the same Klay Thompson. You can't assume Kawhi is going to come back because let's think about it. Kawhi and Klay are equally the reason that the Clippers and the Warriors have not made it to the NBA Finals within recent times because Klay hasn't been there. Of course, Steph broke his hand, but Steph came back. Klay was slated to come back, then tore his ACL. it's a slippery slope with these guys. As much as I would love to have another star like that, I wouldn't want to set off players that I could potentially see doing better if this guy is hindered, because it was right in front of you. He was injury-riddled.
So, I mean, look at it from this perspective. In these 2021 playoffs, the Hawks were 12th in scoring, and we're only talking about us 16 teams at 106 points per game.
I didn't know they were in the bottom half like that.
They were 12th in field goal percentage at 44.9% per game.
Yeah.
10th in three-point percentage at 34.3. So we look at what Klay did the last time that he actually played. In the 2018-2019 season, he averaged 21.5 per game, 47% from the field, and 40% from three. He's a career 20-point, 46% field goal, 42% three-point guy.
Yep.
He's better than anything you have outside of Trey. And this Atlanta team lacks a number 2 scorer night in and night out.
Yep.
Trey is averaging 28.8 per game in the playoffs, and nobody else on the team was over 14.
Yep.
mean,
All facts.
John Collins, Bogey, and Capella, like their scoring all went down from their regular season averages. They did not show up.
Yep.
They didn't give him the little push that they needed.
Absolutely.
You never knew which guy it was going to be. We all know that Lemon Pepper Lou is only good for a flash in the pan.
I think Lemon Pepper Lou has to know that you're desperate for a win at this point in order for him to ball out.
Like
all respect to the guy, but that's how it's came off here recently.
Even his scoring off the bench went down in the playoffs.
Right.
You look at Cam Reddish, like who was supposed to be like, okay, he's the shooter. He's coming off a non-surgical procedure for a soreness in his Achilles, which we have seen. Soreness in your Achilles is the ushering into having an Achilles.
Yep.
I mean, the dude has only been in the league for 2 years, and he's played 84 games. I mean, he misses half of each season that he's been in.
Yep.
His body might actually not be durable enough to withstand a full 82-game season and a playoffs.
Unfortunately, that is a possibility.
So, I mean, you look at Klay, man, the last time he played in the finals, he averaged 26 points per game in the finals on the biggest stage.
Jesus.
You've got guys out here that have had decent averages and maybe step up here or there, but this dude on the biggest stage has averaged more points than anybody not named Trey that's played for this team. And to this point, Trey's numbers aren't finals numbers. We don't know that he can do that in the finals, but we do know that Klay is there to step up in the biggest moments. And regardless of what level of athleticism that he's at when he comes back, that heater is still there.
Yeah.
The dude can still shoot. He just put out a video not too long ago. The dude dropped 18 three-pointers in a row. The shot ain't went nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, folks have been arguing of whether or not Klay is an actual better three-point shooter than Steph.
Right. The heater is hotter. We've both agreed with that.
When he gets hot, he's hotter. I mean, Steph can get his shot off the dribbles. I mean, there's no question that he's a better actual player than Klay. And in the way that he's able to actually get his in, Klay can't do that. But Klay playing alongside a guy like Trae Young, Trae is very similar to Steph in the way that he plays and how he lets him rain with them threes.
Yep.
If he had a guy like Klay next to him, that would be the perfect compliment on top of the fact that Klay has already done it multiple times. He could actually give him even more mentorship and like, oh, this is what Steph did, and I see you're along the same path.
Right.
Do this, and then hit me over here. Like, that could possibly be what the Atlanta Hawks need to actually get over the hump.
Yeah, Trae Young shot 40% in the playoffs. That's not good by any stretch.
Okay, so long as they don't have to mortgage the entire future.
Right,
If you give up 2 of your players, a draft pick and some money, then pull the trigger. If we're talking about 4 guys and still the draft picks and everything else, like what you named off, that's a bit much. If it's just 2 of them, I'd say you got to do it. Even if this gets you an NBA championship 1 season and then it doesn't work any longer, would you rather be the Toronto Raptors or the Atlanta Hawks? Because the Raptors won an NBA championship and they walk around with their ring with Drake, talking about OVO. They got what they wanted. You're talking about like the Hawks just want to be good for the next 10 years but not win a championship. You would rather win a championship and rebuild than be right at the cusp for the next 10 years and torture your fans, especially in a city who has had a sports curse like that.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do. Get the hardware.
Yeah. Mike, I know you got something to say. You got access to a microphone over there, man. I know you want to weigh in on this.
Well, I mean, I'm a homer for my guys, and I'm also a realist.
Yeah.
It depends on which two players I have to give up.
Y'all think only two would be enough, though?
Well, that's all I would be able to. That's all I'm willing to give up because, like you said earlier, I'm not willing to mortgage the future of the franchise into a guy that I'm not 100% sure about. Mm-hmm. Yes, Clay is great in his own right. The other Hawks players' numbers did go down in the playoffs. Every year, players' numbers go down in the playoffs unless they're elite guys or superstars. They're the only guys that keep their same numbers or better from the regular season.
Right.
Other players' numbers tend to drop. And to the Hawks' credit, this was their very first playoff being in.
Yep.
But Bogdanovich hadn't been in a playoff.
Right.
Collins, nobody on the Hawks squad.
Nope.
Maybe
besides Clint Capella when he went to the Western Conference with Harden and Chris Paul.
For them to go as far as they did, limping at a certain point, I think we're good. I believe we give these young guys another shot.
Yeah.
If we can pick up another legitimate scorer and another point guard or one in the same player, we'll be fine.
Right.
Because once Trey goes on the bench, we lose something. Lou is a number 2. He is not a point. Bogdanovich is not a point.
Exactly.
Herter is not a point.
Nobody will put the ball on the deck and look for the play.
Nobody can bring the ball up court and protect the ball.
There's no juice in the Hawks offense when Trey's on the bench, and you really saw that in these playoffs.
If we can get that part solved and just keep find a legitimate 2 that can score or 1 that can handle the ball, I believe we can stay grimy, man, and do some things.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, man. 100%. And, and everything Fee said, like I heard everything you said, all facts, like there's no question about who those two guys are. But when you think about people want to talk about the players that played well and the chemistry and this and that. Nate McMillan was the MVP of this team. He literally saved this team from what it was heading for and took them to a fantastic record. I mean, like the Hawks were one of the best defensive teams in the NBA once Nate McMillan took over. And a lot of people, you look at that aspect and then you think about it. You give everyone a full season's rest. Nate McMillan is now there. He's going to implement plenty. You're probably going to have some staff changes. You get a chance to now get the Nate McMillan, Midas touch on kind of everything versus in the middle of the season, we got to wing it here, curve it over there. And the only player, as much as people are probably going to hate to hear me say this, that I think I would confidently send out the door would be John Collins. And that's only because he's been here for 4 years. But you also look at how he played season before last. He felt like he was a 23, 25, and 10 guy every night. But the Hawks were obviously awful. Lloyd Pierce, couldn't do anything with us. So, I'm right there with you, Mike. We have to get another efficient scorer. We have to get another guy that can just make the offense run because when Trae Young was on the bench, I mean, it was a pain. Like you felt like Gallo would try to put the ball on the deck and maybe make it happen, but it wouldn't be there. And then Lou Williams, like I mentioned to Fees, it feels like Lou Williams only comes and plays when you desperately need to win. So I'm there with you guys. So the Hawks have to get it too, but the injuries, I don't think you invest in players like that. So and welcome back, Fees.
One thing that I will add to this before we close that out, man, John Collins is up for a contract renewal. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Hawks are going to pay him max dollar.
They better not.
And I believe what's going to happen, because he turned down the 90 initially earlier this season, they're going to have to come to a medium in between 90 and maybe 110 somewhere and find a comfortable ground that they're both satisfied with.
4 years?
I mean, I wouldn't be mad with that.
Yeah.
It's cool with me. But
I wouldn't pay John Collins any more than like $27 million, honestly, and that's a lot.
His regular season numbers, like I said, in the postseason, his numbers did drop.
Yeah.
But in the regular season, he's a 19-8, 19-7 guy, 10 rebounds a game, perhaps 9 rebounds a game. So he's right there averaging during the regular season a double-double.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's a very good player. Maybe not max dollar. Had he kept up his numbers during the postseason, I think he would have probably proved himself to be that guy.
Would have had more of a fight. If he would have played this year like he did last year, no question I'd pay him 30 plus. No question. John Collins was a 23-10 guy last year.
Well, you didn't have Capella.
Right,
so,
correct.
He had to split, and learn how to play a different style of ball.
Yeah, and Capella's kind of hindered offensively, so.
Right.
Yep. All right. I'm there with you, man. Cool. Great talks. I knew I was like, I have to hear Mike. I was like, I know.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew you wanted to weigh in, man. So, Fees, we are here at the AFC North. breakdown. Expectations versus reality. You ready for it?
Oh, yeah, we definitely ready to jump into that thing. You know, we got to let Mike Bell have his time to shine one time before we do that, though.
I like getting Mike on the mic.
We got to let Beezy pay these bills one time. Let him know what to do.
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much once again for tuning in tonight. You are watching Petty Sportz like you do every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, brought to you by Kings Broadcasting Studios. Share the show. We thank everybody that has, and if you haven't, what you waiting on, man? Help us out. You know, we trying to go viral right now, for real. Go to kingsbroadcasting.com, Kings with a Z, kingsbroadcasting.com. Support black business, support black business. Buy some merch over there. You know what I'm saying? Because we do. You know, we support black business. Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much. You can go to the different platforms and hit us up over there to hear the earlier shows that have already previously aired on Google, Spotify, Apple, iHeart.
I need to get an iHeart link for us.
Yeah, man, we all over the place, man. Spotify, you know, just get at us. Like, subscribe, share, and follow on YouTube and Facebook at Petty Sportz. That's Petty Sports with a Z. We greatly appreciate it. Without no you, there's no us. Hit us up, 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight, 678-871-9602. These guys getting ready to go hard in the paint or hard on the gridiron for this AFC North style football right here. So, ATL, hold back to the regular schedule program.
Yes, sir. It's the time of the evening that y'all been waiting for. We about to break down the AFC North. Expectations versus reality.
These segments have been going crazy, man. Lots of love on it for YouTube. Seahawks video is almost at 5,000, bro. That's insane.
Seahawks fans been weighing in.
Yeah, they have. Almost 100 comments, almost 100 likes, netted like 30 subs from that video. Crushing it for us. I super appreciate the Seahawks fans out there.
So what y'all gonna do, AFC North? We got Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Where your fans at?
Yeah.
Come in, chop it up with us, because we about to break y'all all the way down.
That's right.
Pittsburgh finished first in the division at 12-4. Lost the West. They lost a wild card game at home to Cleveland to end their season last year.
Sure did.
What are your expectations for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
So expectations for this team coming into the 2021 season. We always know about the Steelers defense. That's always been the culture of the team. TJ Watt, some people there in the secondary, Minka Fitzpatrick, and we know that this team year in and year out is always going to come and ball out with a fantastic defense. Another thing I think they expect, TJ Watt might get some Defensive Player of the Year votes. Another thing is Najee Harris being drafted in the first round. Steelers have constantly struggled to run the football, it feels like, since the Le'Veon Bell days. James Conner is now out of town. So they knew they had a need to fill. And a big reason that the Steelers were not able to perform last year in the playoffs and late in the season in those November, December games is because they couldn't run the football. And we know Big Ben does not have the arm or just the effect on the game, like he used to. And then lastly, can the offense produce with Big Ben in that wide receiver core? I think Big Ben, unfortunately, I'm not going to say he's a bad quarterback, but he's slipping from average to bad in a lot of situations where he doesn't need to. And it's starting to hold that Steelers team back. And I know he had yards and he had, 30 plus touchdowns. I think 10 picks only. People were actually trying to say last year, wow, nobody's talking about Big Ben for MVP. Let's pump the brakes now. Let's hold on for a second. He's easily not the best player on that team, but we know MVP is a quarterback award. Either way, though, let's go on to reality. Don't shoot me, Steelers fans. I think y'all are going 8-9 this year, though. I think Big Ben is a huge reason that y'all are going to be held back. I don't know about the offense overall meshing. And is Ben going to improve as these quarterbacks get older? We've seen them potentially fall down the hill. Then you take a look at TJ Watt. I think he'll be fine. Like I mentioned about TJ Watt and the expectations, he'll get Defensive Player of the Year votes, and I think he'll be there to spearhead that defense and contribute to that Steelers culture like we've always seen. And then Najee Harris, I think he'll be a 1,000-yard rusher. Najee coming in, being that late first round pick, it really was kind of the best situation for the Steelers. You know, like I mentioned early on, no running game late in the year. So Najee's going to have to be that guy. He's going to have to be the running back one. Big bell cow back, 3 down, 4 down guy. So I think the Steelers are going to get everything they're looking for besides the record, 8-9. And we'll reveal to you at the end how we have the whole division playing out.
Right, I see. I mean, I think the expectations for the Pittsburgh Steelers are for them to go a solid 14-3, win the division, deep playoff, possibly Super Bowl run. So, I mean, they have expectations of pure greatness based off of their past winnings, which are in the far distant past. That's what their expectations are. A reality check for Pittsburgh. Last season, 8 out of those 11 wins to start the 11-0 season were within one possession. They played a very favorable schedule in that run where they played all run-heavy teams. That was the strength of their defense. They could stop the run, and they played a bunch of teams that rely on the run. That's not the case this year, and they lost a lot of key players. They lost Bud Dupree. They lost Pouncey. They lost James Conner. They lost Eric Ebron. They're counting on a lot of rookies to plug a whole lot of holes, and they're counting on an old Big Ben to somehow figure he's lost weight, and that means that he's suddenly going to be better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we look at the NFC North. That's the NFC division they play. Against Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit, I got them going 2-2. Against the AFC West, KC, Vegas, the Chargers, and the Broncos, I have them also at 2-2 against that division. I mean, they play at Green Bay and at Kansas City. They have no favor of schedule this year. There are 3 games that are based off of where they finished the division last year, seeing as how they won the division. They play at Buffalo. They got Tennessee and Seattle. I got them going 1-2 in those games. So, I mean, it's already not looking great. Within their division, they got to play Cleveland twice, Baltimore twice, and Cincinnati twice. I got them splitting with all 3. They will not sweep any of them.
I had Ravens and Browns sweeping. Honestly, I really did. And I even had them losing once to the Bengals.
I couldn't even be mad at that. But I'm like, I gave them 3-3 in the division, which ultimately gave me 8-9.
Yeah.
So you, me, and Colin all came up with the same record for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Is Colin back on the air? Is he doing okay?
He came back like yesterday.
Did he explain why he was gone?
No, but I didn't even listen.
Bastard. Abandoning us like that.
But collectively, we all have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8-9. This will be the first losing season for Mike Tomlin in his regime. It's not a knock on him. You're playing a full schedule of teams that air the ball out. The secondary is the worst part of your defense, and your offense is yet to show that they can actually produce. They only scored 30-plus points in 3 of 16 games last year. You're going to need a lot more of that
in today's
in order
NFL,
to win
yes.
this year, especially against all these teams
Yep.
that will be airing the ball out. I have no faith in Pittsburgh. They'll be sub 500, no playoffs, and they'll have massive questions at the end of the season as to what they're going to do at quarterback.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%. Steelers probably wish they would have had a little bit of a worse season because quarterback from here on out is going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of guessing on the market. Unless you're like, I don't see Pittsburgh playing well enough to get a top quarterback pick, so it's either going to be a second or third rounder within the next year or 2, or you're going to have to tank to maybe shoot for a Spencer Rattler or I don't know, an Arch Manning. I mean, I don't know who's coming between Spencer Rattler and him, you know? Like, I mean, the quarterback talent was so loaded this draft, and that's why everybody had to jump. So, Jamila, nah. You even got Gary.
Say, who the Steelers going to get? Nobody.
Oh, man. Jamila, I understand what you were saying about what y'all had to play, like, three games, 4, what was it, 3 or 4 games in like 11 or 12 days? Remember, because like the COVID pushed it off, and then they had a rescheduled game from like a week before, and then that game, because of COVID, got put like, I don't know, man. It was all sorts of crazy.
They won those games.
Well, did they?
Wasn't it earlier in the season?
No, that was later. That was like, remember, because they had the late bye week. They had a terrible bye week, and then they had to play a bunch of games like within a 4-day period. So I remember that point, but it's further than that. I think I just think that offense, last year, that offense was 8th worst in yards per game. I don't know why a Najee Harris and a couple picks here and there are going to make that much better. They'll be middle of the pack at best, and you don't win a championship with that. Right. Marquise Pouncey said, was it Marquise Pouncey or Maurice Pouncey?
I don't know. It was one of them.
Yeah. Pouncey, though.
The Pouncey twins both retired.
Right.
Together.
Yeah. 8-9 for those Steelers.
Steelers are 8-9 collectively across the board. Argue with it, you'll be wrong. The Cleveland Browns, 11-5 last season, lost in the divisional round to Kansas City in a nail biter. Couple of questionable calls. What is the expectation for these new look red hot Cleveland Browns next season?
You're spot on with that, man. That's how the fans are feeling. And I think coming into next year, the big question, I think the biggest question, and I know we talk a lot about quarterbacks, but Baker Mayfield is one of the biggest question marks coming into this year. This is a big reason why he didn't get extended, because he is on that prove it deal. You wonder, is Baker going to be mature still? Kevin Stefanski's there, and it feels like he's solving a lot of issues. And Baker played at a high level after Odell Beckham got injured. So we'll see how it carries out. And then another thing you look at, I feel like this team, they've been bad for so long. And like you said, red hot coming in, coach of the year. They potentially still have Odell in the house, which, I'm a little nervous about him coming back, but we'll see how it is when he gets back into the lineup. I think this team is thinking that they could make a Super Bowl run this year. When you look at the backfield, when you look at the offensive line, when you look at the defensive line, when you look at they just drafted Greg Newsome and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, man, that was a steal getting Jock out of the second round. Yes, I believe the second round. Yeah, because wherever he fell to, it was either second or third, but I want to say it was the second. I couldn't believe that he had fell that far in the draft. So I think this team is going all in. They know they have the pieces. And again, it just really circles back to Baker Mayfield. Now, when we look at the reality, I think they play well in the division. I'm giving them a 10-7 record. I think this is a team you're going to have to respect day in and day out. They're going to come to eat you with the backfield with Chubb and Hunt. They're going to have pass catchers out there. And again, it's going back to Baker, which I think Baker plays as well as he did last year, maybe a little more of a progression, but it's going to have to be, okay, what can you show me that you can go further now? Because you did have the playoff run, but now with what the fans are expecting, with the talent that you have, with the reputation of Stefanski, look, man, we're looking for AFC title game, maybe Super Bowl. And I know that's how the fans are feeling out there. So I've got them at a 10-7 record. And overall, this team just needs to keep up the good energy, because they have a lot of positive vibes going into this season. And they just want to keep it up, especially with, like I said, it all circles back to Baker Mayfield.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the expectation for Cleveland Browns fans is consistency. They want to make winning, they want to make winning the norm.
Exactly.
I think they're looking for a 13-4 season. AFC Championship game at the very least, definitely hopeful for a Super Bowl run, because they have a roster that says that they can do that. They very well easily could have beat Kansas City, who represented the AFC in the Super Bowl last year. So there's no reason for them not to feel like Super Bowl or bust, because they do have a roster that says that they could achieve this. The reality, they return all their key starters. OBJ is supposed to be healthy. They're going to go as Baker goes. However well Baker performs, that's what they're going to do. So I feel like their expectations are reasonable. They have no reason not to feel like they feel right now. They got the NFC North. I think outside of Green Bay, and that's contingent upon whether or not Aaron Rodgers is there.
Right.
They should go 3-1 against that division. There's no one else in there that challenges them. On both sides of the ball, they're better than all of those teams.
Exactly.
Without the X factor or A-Rod. We look at the AFC West. Got Kansas City, Vegas, Chargers, Broncos. Kansas City is the only team in that division that I feel like should beat the Browns. And the Browns play them on Christmas Day.
Really?
Off a short week.
Wow.
So Kansas City plays Baltimore on Sunday and then turns around on Christmas and plays the Browns.
Wow.
So, they'll get beat up by Baltimore.
How many days in between?
Have to face Cleveland. Well, Christmas is on a Saturday. I thought it was a Thursday, so I was like, oh, it's a really short week, but it's almost a normal week.
Okay, so they just get one less day rest.
One less day rest, but it's after getting ground and pound by Baltimore and then turning around to play Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's two extremely physical teams in a row, so I'm not 100% sure that Kansas City will beat them. But if Kansas City doesn't, I can't just completely bake on their consistency. I say 3-1 in that division, regardless of if they beat Kansas City or if they mess around and lose to the Raiders or the Chargers, or one of them teams might catch them.
Right.
3-1 in the division, I think is very doable.
Yep.
Their next 3 games, just depending on because they finished 3rd in the division, which is outlandish. They tied with Baltimore, but they were actually 3rd.
Right.
Because they were 11-5.
Yeah.
They play at New England. They got Houston and Arizona. I got them going 2-1 in those games. Then in their division, I've got them splitting with Pittsburgh, splitting with Baltimore, and sweeping Cincinnati. 4-2 in the division, finishing at 12-5.
Yep.
12-5, the Cleveland Browns have absolutely arrived.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a little flow to it. That's what y'all need, Cleveland fans.
12-5.
12-5, you have arrived.
12-5, and the Cleveland Browns have absolutely arrived. All right, man. I love it. I love it. We're bumping up against the time here, brother. We got 10 minutes to hit these last 2 teams, and the Ravens are up next.
We don't need much time for Cincinnati, so we good.
Damn.
Shots fired.
Oh, no. Sorry,
the
Bengals
Baltimore Ravens
fans.
were also 11-5 last season. They lost to Buffalo in the divisional round. What are their expectations for next season?
Expectations are going back to the quarterback again in this division, man. Lamar Jackson to take them on a deep playoff run. I think absolutely Lamar having the MVP season. And you look, at the end of the day, Lamar has only had 1 season comfortably throwing the football when we look at how he's truly played throughout his entire career. And the fact that the Ravens have a loaded offense, they can absolutely, like you said, ground and pound on the run game. They know how to play defense. They can rush the passer. Like, they're another team that could easily be in the Super Bowl, but it's going to depend on Lamar Jackson, because I don't think that guy's going to have a 3rd straight 1,000-yard rushing season as a quarterback. The NFL already caught on last year, and now it's going to be getting to the point where you're probably going to be even having more stacked boxes and more speed on the field, even more than before, because you're trying to get Lamar seriously off of his A game. Now we go to the reality of the Baltimore Ravens. I have them at a 12-5 record. I think they'll have a generally good season. This is a team, of course, that you're going to have to respect, like I mentioned, with the talent that is on the team. But I think Lamar does have to learn how to throw that football. He really does, because like I mentioned, there has only been 1 true season where he's been comfortable throwing the football. And we know they're pretty square on all other aspects. But when you look at the receiving yards they had last year, they were second to last in the league to the New York Jets in passing yards per game. That is terrible for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations and with as much talent as they have. Lamar Jackson can't be doing that. Yes, it is in the stat books. It was terrible, and they stayed there all year, never budged above second to last, and that's where they finished. So they have to get pass catching. They have to get Lamar. It's a lot of a relationship between the quarterback and the wide receiver, because, like I said, we know they're sound on all other aspects. I got them finishing 12-5, and they're looking for that playoff run. They're absolutely looking for that playoff run, because they got let down against the Titans in 2018. We know how it went, or 19, excuse me, or no, 18. Whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's Buffalo.
Right.
Well, both teams beat them.
Yeah, Titans and Buffalo.
1 year, like year in and year out, they lost to both of them in consecutive years.
Interception.
The expectations for the Baltimore Ravens were that they have growth in their passing game. They're expecting another MVP caliber season out of Lamar Jackson and a 14-3 season with a trip to the Super Bowl. They really have no less expectation than Super Bowl. They've been on the cusp. They're expecting to make it there. Their reality, Lamar's ceiling, like his ceiling is in January. They cannot be trusted when they get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
The style of football that they play just does not work all the way through the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, we're looking at them. They play the AFC North. I mean, the NFC North. I'm giving them 2-2 against that division. AFC West, 2-2 as well. There are 3 games based off of them finishing second in the division. They play at Miami, they play Indy, and they play the Rams. I think they can beat the Dolphins. I think they can beat the Colts. They will lose to the Rams. They'll be 2-1 in that stretch. I got them 3-3 in the division, ultimately finishing 9-8, maybe catching a wild card. They'll possibly miss the playoffs, but 9-8 is where I have the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not sold on them turning a corner. Everybody knows what Lamar Jackson is trying to do, and it's starting to get foiled. Mm-hmm. I mean, last but certainly not least, we're going to round out the AFC North with the Cincinnati Bengals. They finished 4-11-1 last season. They drafted Jamar Chase.
Yep. They
had an injured first-round number 1 pick in Joe Burrow. What are the expectations for the Bengals?
The Bengals expecting this coming into the 2021 NFL season, that Joe Burrow has to be protected at all costs. We know that is the reason his rookie year got cut short. We saw everything that happened with Joe Burrow, and we also saw them pass on Penei Sewell, who was the best lineman in the NFL draft, wherever you want to put him, first, second. I know there was a lot of reports out there, but we know that Penei Sewell was a top lineman in this draft, and they passed on him. Now, they did get help for Joe Burrow on the offensive line, but I would have liked to see that draft started off and really built through the entire draft. And like I said, I know they got him a unit, but Penei would have been extremely beneficial putting in the middle of that unit and knowing how versatile he can be. Now, another expectation for this team is Jamar Chase needs to be worth that pick. That pick that he was used to pass up on Penei, he has to be out there. He has to be available. And we know we wanted to make Joe Burrow more comfortable, get him reunited with his teammate, but is he going to have time to see his target? Will he truly be able to get his time and throw to him out of the pocket so he can be effective and worth the pick? Now we look at the reality. This is going to be a 5-12 team. You said they were 4-12 last year. Give them another win because we have a 17-game season. They're going to have a high pick next year. I mean, it's looking bad for the Bengals overall. They've got talent, but Zach Taylor's on the hot seat. Joe Burrow's coming off of an injury. You still wonder what Joe Mixon is. Not that AJ Green was anything, but you still have to account for that loss. And when you overall look at how much further this Bengals team really needs to go, I think Joe Burrow will come back and be reasonable. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be fighting for any sort of, award, because it's probably going to go to Dak for comeback player, and we know he's not going to be in MVP talks, and they're going to be last in the division. They still have a lot of work to do. So overall, sorry for you, Bengals fans. I got you going 5-12, and you are finishing last in the division this year.
Man, that's tough. I mean, the expectations for the Cincinnati Bengals. Man. They got a healthy Joe Burrow. They just picked up Jamar Chase. They got T. Higgins, Boyd. They've got Mixon, P. Ryan. They're really expecting us to be a very competitive team and to win at least 8 to 9 games and really start to build into something. I don't think they expect the playoffs.
Wow.
But they definitely expect this team to start to be respectable. The reality, their schedule is set up for high hopes and a massive letdown just because of how that thing is set up. Like, they have a very easy start. The end of their schedule is gruesome. It's set up for them to be like, hey, they've arrived, and then they will fall hard. I mean, their offense should keep them in games, but their defense just won't hold up. I mean, look at what they got to play. Playing the NFC North, I got them 2-2. I think they could beat Minnesota. They could beat Detroit. AFC West, I got them going 1-3. The only team over there I think they'll beat is a shootout against the Chargers, who are pretty much the exact same team as them. They got their other 3 games based off of finishing last in the division. They have the fortune now of playing the Jets, the Jaguars, and the 49ers. They should beat the Jets and the Jaguars. They absolutely will not beat San Francisco. I think in the division, they'll go 2-4 for an ultimate record of 7-10. I think 7 wins, 3 wins better than last year with an extra game. I don't think that's far-fetched. That's definitely an improvement from last year. Absolutely not going to get them in the playoffs, but that takes Cincinnati from bottom of the barrel to respectable, something to build on, and actually some hope for the future when they actually grow something that resembles the defense. So that's where I got them, 7-10. So we look at the AFC North 2021 standings, where we have them falling. I've got Cleveland winning the division at 12-5, Baltimore in second at 9-8, Pittsburgh 8-9, Cincinnati 7-10. That's my AFC North.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I see how you got the division playing out there, man. So looking at how everyone's going to finish out. First place, Baltimore, 12-5. Second place, we have the Browns at 10-7. Third place, we have the Steelers at 8-9. And fourth place, we have your beloved Cincinnati Bengals at 4-12. Not really. Feel bad for the fans. Feel bad for the Steelers fans. And I do feel bad for those Bengals fans. But I think the Browns are here. And I think the Ravens are going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. But, man, here we go. Show's running out. All right, guys. Fees, take us out of here, bro.
Yes, sir, man. We appreciate y'all for another one, man. Every Wednesday night from 8 to 10 p.m., Petty Sports, man. It's all gratitude, all love. Hopefully y'all will call in next time. It's 678-871-9602.
Scared as hell.
But, y'all know how to find me. It's Famous Fees on all my accounts. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everything. Cash App, all that. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, let everybody know. Make Petty Sportz go viral.
Yes, sir.
Y'all tune in, holla at us. Next week, we're going to be on Tuesday night. We're covering the AFC East, my beloved New England Patriots. I'm going hard. Y'all make sure y'all tune in.
Out of here, guys. We'll see y'all next week. Click the link, Linktree, everything in one. Be blessed. Call next week. Scared asses.